It's currently 5:45 a.m. on Friday, May 23rd, and we are about to get ready to head out on a 10-day trip all the way out west to Utah, and then back home. It'll be about 4,200 miles in total. We're looking to cover about 600 miles today, but we are all loaded up, ready to go. I just need to swing by a gas station before we hop on the highway, top off the bike, and then we'll be on our way. To leave Ohio. Been on the road for about an hour now. Really testing my resolve. It's much colder today than I thought it was going to be this morning. As I say, when I left my house, it was about 45 degrees, and it has dropped down to 42 since then. So the wind chill is quite cold, but we are officially in Indiana now. We've got about 8 hours and 10 minutes to go until we are at our destination, which I don't think I've said yet, but our destination for today is Des Moines, Iowa. Not really anything I want to see there. It's just a good stopping point on the way to where I want to be, which is Colorado, Utah, and Arizona. Worst part about Indiana is as soon as you cross the Ohio border, the roads get horrible. So hopefully we make it through this pretty quick and my butt survives. So the sun's just now starting to come up, so I'm hoping that'll help a little bit with the temperature. And we'll just keep chugging along. No point in turning back now. So we are coming up on Indianapolis. Been in stop and go traffic for about 10 minutes now. It's 7:40 in the morning, so not surprised. But we are not stopping in Indianapolis. We're gonna skirt right along the outside of it and continue on our way to Des Moines, Iowa. So we'll probably have to stop and get gas here about an hour or so. We'll probably grab some breakfast too when we do that. And yeah, so far it's been good. It's been cold, but it's starting to warm up. I did pull over on the side of the road at one point at a rest stop and change my gloves. I guess I didn't change them. I put on some glove liners, keep my fingers a little warmer. Ever since then, it's been tolerable. So I've got a full rain suit in my saddlebag that would keep me a lot warmer than I've been, but I didn't really feel like digging it out, and I knew it was going to warm up eventually. So
there's an 8-minute slowdown in 800 feet. You're still on the fastest route.
So I just kind of lived through it. But tomorrow it's supposed to be just as cold in the morning. Well, we will probably leave the hotel with the rain suit on to keep us warm. I said I made it through, but I do not want to do it again. So I believe we're about to enter Illinois. It's been a few hours since I last recorded anything. I'll be honest, for the most part it's been a lot of highway, or it's been all highway, and it hasn't looked much different from home. Hasn't really been anything interesting to record. So further west we get, definitely the more interesting things we'll have to see, but this all still pretty much looks like Ohio to me. It is starting to warm up, thankfully. It's much nicer now than it was about an hour and a half ago. So we've been on the road now for about 3 hours. I did stop to get gas. I did not record it though, and I had to get a new phone charger because my other cable is broken and stopped working. It was charging my phone, but it was charging it slower than it was dying, and well, I don't know where I'm at, so without my phone I'm lost. So I had to stop and get that charger. I say there's the welcome to Illinois sign. I haven't been to Illinois in a few years. Typically just go to Chicago. I do have some family that lives out this way though. Just not very close with them. But yeah. Gonna keep on going. The roads in Indiana weren't too bad once we got away from the once we got past Indianapolis, but up until Indianapolis they were absolutely miserable. The road we're on right now is actually quite an improvement from those roads, which is saying something because this one's not great either. But I'm glad I upgraded my rear suspension over the winter, because it is night and day from last year as far as fatigue and my back hurting. Like I said, we've been on the bike about 3 hours now and no fatigue, no sores, no pains or anything yet. So I'll have to hope when it continues that way, we'll have to see some point, not sure when or where, probably stop somewhere to get lunch but I'm not sure what I'll be having for lunch because I have a rule that once I'm more than an hour away from home, I can't eat at any restaurants that I can get at home. I have to try something new that I've never had before or that I've had and I really liked and I can't get it at home. So probably sometime between now and our next gas stop, I'll pull over somewhere, a rest stop or a gas station, and look up some local restaurants and see where I want to go eat. So I will say the one thing I have noticed so far is that the further west I go, the flatter it's getting. The western half of Ohio that I live in isn't necessarily the most mountainous or most hilly, but it's definitely getting flatter. And traffic's been pretty good. It is 8:30 on a Friday morning though. Once we got through Indianapolis, I really haven't been in any other traffic other than what I'm in right now, which is construction and down to one lane. But yeah, we're just gonna keep going. We got about 5 hours and 45 minutes left for today. I don't have any accommodation booked yet for tonight, mainly because I don't think we're gonna go any further than Des Moines, Iowa today. But I told myself I would go as far as I could go as long as I felt good and was still enjoying the ride. I say this, the longest day I've ever done was 700 and some miles when I rode to Nashville and back on a Friday to get lunch. And those 700 miles weren't bad, but the afternoon that day was very, very hot and humid. So definitely wasn't the most enjoyable for the last probably 3 hours of that ride. And I want to say that took me about 11 hours in total. My original plan was to leave tomorrow and make the first day of the road trip a 1,000-mile day from my house to Ogalla, Nebraska, which is all the way on the west side. Which is all the way on the west side of Nebraska. However, due to some life events out of my control, I came into some extra vacation time, and I was like, well, if I've got it, let's use it and not force myself into a 1,000-mile first day on the road. So Something we don't have a lot of in Ohio is these windmills. It's finally starting to not look like home. Every time I come to Illinois, I see these windmills and I'm always amazed by them. But I've never actually seen them working on one. So you see they've got a big crane over there. And if you look close, once we get past this semi, you can see that the hatch on the top of it is actually open. So I don't know if that one just got installed or if they're just doing some like preventative maintenance on it or what. But it's pretty cool to see. And there's a bunch more over here. Trying to stay ahead. I'm running a little faster than I want. We're doing about 74. Been trying to keep it between 65 and 70 just for fuel mileage. But there's a heavy haul tow truck back there towing a semi. And anytime I slow down, he ends up passing me. And the buffeting off of that truck is insane, and it was throwing me around like a bobblehead. So I've been running a little faster, just trying to stay ahead of him, because there's no way I can stay behind him very long. It'd be an absolutely miserable ride. And I tried to slow him down and like falling way back, and probably, I don't know, try to drop back 1/8 of a mile, and you could still feel it. So I just been running a little faster to stay in front of him. Like I said, I'm doing about 74 according to GPS. My speedometer is off on my bike. It says I'm doing 81. That's been a issue since I've gotten the bike. I'm sure it's got something to do with safety regulations and whatnot. I know my BMW, its speedometer is always read about 6 mile an hour faster than actual speed, and it's got something to do with a law that states law regulation. Not sure which it actually is, but basically it states that your speedometer, a car manufacturer cannot produce a car with a speedometer that reads lower than actual speed. And so to stay in the clear of that, a lot of manufacturers just make the speedometers read, 2 to 3% higher than the speed you're actually doing. That and my chain conversion is probably messing with that a little bit. It should be, the gear ratio is almost identical to factory, but I'm sure it's off a little bit. So, but it's still going good. I say we're got about 4 hours and 50 minutes left. We are about halfway done for the day. I was planning on arriving at about 3 p.m., but I forgot that we're headed west and changing time zones, so I'll actually gain an hour of time. So we've got plenty of time. Only reason I wanted to be there at 3 is because I don't like riding in the dark, and 3 p.m. is usually when you can check into a hotel, and I figured that'd give us time to check in, take a shower, get cleaned up, because I always feel gross after these long days of riding, and then find a good place to get dinner. So that's an interesting building. Say time-wise, this is not my longest day, but mileage, I'm pretty sure it will be my longest day. Like I said, we're going to do about 600 miles today, in about 9 hours. I've got one 11-hour day plan, but I'll be riding through the Rockies, and so it's only about 400 miles due to obviously lower speed limits, twistier roads, and it won't be all highway like it has been today. So, but I'm gonna keep going. Got about half a tank of gas. Probably have to stop again in another 100 miles or so, and that'll probably be a longer stop where we find some food, because I still haven't eaten anything today. Well, I had a banana before I left my house, but still haven't eaten much today. I wasn't very hungry this morning, so our next stop will probably be a little longer, and we'll find some lunch / breakfast. So we'll probably stop in the next hour and a half or so, probably about 11 o'clock. But yeah, it's kind of real now. It's kind of weird. Every time I do these trips, and I say every time, like, this isn't only my second road trip on my motorcycle, but it never feels real until the scenery around you starts to not look like home. And it's starting to not look like home. Let's say the nerves were kind of getting to me yesterday, because I didn't have anything packed. I did all my packing last night. And the nerves are kind of getting to me between not having everything packed and, you know, obviously I don't want to forget anything. But also, I feel like anytime you tell people you're going cross country on a motorcycle, everyone's all excited for you up until the week before. And then the week before you go, everyone wants to remind you not to die, and about how other drivers on the road don't look for motorcycles, and all the dangers, and what if your bike gets stolen. And I'm very aware and very conscious of all the risks that come with riding a motorcycle across the country. I'm very aware and conscious of the risks that come with riding a motorcycle down the street. But I tend not to fixate on them, just because I know they're there. And if you fixate on them, I would never be on this motorcycle. So it's that week before, when everyone else is fixated on it, kind of makes it to where you have to think about it, because everyone wants to talk to you about the what ifs. And I don't find that conducive to an enjoyable time. You know, we all know the dangers of hopping on these bikes and using this as a outlet, as a release, and as a hobby. And yeah, it's just like everyone else that doesn't ride seems to always be fixated on it. Looks like there's a cone in the road, or no, it's a hose. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of hard not to get fixated on it. All the what ifs when everyone else around you is fixated on it. And I appreciate that they care, but like I said, I've been over all the what ifs in my head a million times, and at some point you just got to stop thinking about it, or you'll become paralyzed by the thought of what could happen rather than enjoying what is happening. So alright, I ended up having to take a detour because the off-ramp I needed to take was closed. But we fueled up, ate some snacks. Couldn't really find anywhere to get lunch in the area that sounded good, so I had brought a bunch of beef jerky with me that I bought from one of the guys at work. He's got a small jerky business. And some almonds. And that was my quote-unquote lunch for the day. Pretty sure I overfilled my fuel tank. So you got that puddle on the ground there. Pretty sure it's just fuel coming out of the vent. It smells like fuel. And I'm pretty sure it's black, because where it's dripping from, there's a lot of built-up chain lube on the frame. So hopefully that doesn't cause us any problems. It does look like it stopped leaking at least, so that's good. But we're about to get back on the road and keep on our way towards Des Moines. So we've got about 4 hours and 29 minutes left, and Looks like we'll be in Illinois for at least a couple more hours. So we're just gonna get back on the road and keep going. So I wasn't really planning on stopping yet, but the exit I needed to take was closed and Google Maps wasn't aware of it, surprisingly. And then I missed the detour exit, so I ended up just hopping off the highway and grabbing gas since I was already here. Hopefully that fuel leaking out of the vent doesn't cause any issues back there. It is leaking right onto my chain, but once we burn some fuel, it should stop leaking, hopefully. I say hopefully it does not leak for the whole trip. I say I've never actually seen any fuel come out of that vent before. I knew it was there, but I guess I've just never filled it up enough to make it leak. So hopefully nothing bad comes of that. We've been on the road for about half an hour to an hour since we left the gas station, and looks like we are coming up on the first big city that I'm actually going to go through. Kind of went around Indianapolis, but coming up on Peoria, which I believe is a pretty big city, if I remember correctly. But look at the skyline. It's beautiful. Yeah, like I said, it kind of came around a corner and there it was, just popped into existence. I say it was a very quick change from flat farmland to boom, city. It's a beautiful skyline. Fortunately, we're not stopping here. I had thought about stopping here when I was trying to figure out where we were going to stop today, and I ended up deciding I wanted to be closer to the western side of Nebraska at the end of today. I also forgot to mention that while I was at that gas station, I did book my accommodation for tonight. So we have to make it there now. Not really an option. So it does look like it'd be a cool place to walk around and explore though. This is a beautiful bridge too. So I'm kind of a nerd for bridges. Because anytime I go on vacation with my girlfriend and there's a nice bridge, I always have to point it out. And luckily for me, she is very enthusiastic about my enthusiasm. Just riding through though, it looks like it's about a 50-50 mix of like new buildings and historical stuff. So I'll definitely have to add Peoria to my list of places I actually want to go to and spend a few days exploring and wandering around. So that list is forever growing, and I do not have enough time nor money to shorten it. But yeah, this Peoria is close enough to home to where it could be a weekend trip. I'll definitely be back at some point. So it definitely seems like an interesting place. So we have less than 4 hours to go. We are well past the halfway point now. Oh, there's another interesting bridge with these central arches. And it looks like there's a channel down there for like rainwater. I'm assuming it's rainwater. Can't imagine they would just have an open channel for sewage right down the middle of the highway. Yeah, these arches are very nice. Like I said, we have less than 4 hours to go. We're well past the halfway point for today. There's a Chevy SS right there with a interesting wrap on it, to say the least. Chevy SS is one of the cooler cars Chevy has made in the late 2010s. Fortunately, like everything cool, it got discontinued. But wouldn't mind owning one day. Mine would probably not have that wrap on it though. Put it nicely. So we are about to cross over from Illinois to Iowa. And not only will this be officially the furthest west I've ever been in the United States, it'll also be my first time in Iowa. It'll be a new state for me, and it'll be my first time ever crossing the Mississippi River. Because the Mississippi River actually makes up the border, or part of the border, between Iowa and Illinois. So I don't know if you guys can see it up there yet, but off to the left, that is the Mississippi River. And so we are now officially in Iowa. Yeah, this is a big moment. Like I said, furthest west I've ever been. New state, and first time ever crossing the Mississippi. We've got about 2.5 hours left, and we are going to have to stop for more fuel soon. I'm not getting quite as good fuel mileage as I would like. Last year, when I went on my road trip, I averaged about 60 miles a gallon. Right now, I'm only averaging about 47, 48. Which isn't the end of the world. It would just be nice to get that extra 50 to 60 miles to a tank, and not even necessarily for the cost savings of that 12 miles a gallon, but just having to stop more than I want to. But like I said earlier, today is either my longest or second longest day as far as mileage. So hopefully we will not have to stop so much for gas for the next few days until we hit Moab, and go from Moab to Roswell. I'd say the last hour or so there's been a increase in the wind. There's been a very strong crosswind for about an hour or so. Not the end of the world. At times it's been pretty aggressive though, and I felt like I'm riding down the highway sideways. But we're making it happen. So I say, so far, still hasn't been too much that's been interesting to see. Still kind of looks like home, just a little flatter and a few more trees. I will say, though, for the first time ever today, I saw an undercover police minivan. And say I was cruising in the right lane, doing about 5 over, and all of a sudden I heard a very faint siren, and I started checking my mirrors and everything and looking around, trying to see where it was coming from. I could not figure out where it was coming from. Then all of a sudden, this Chrysler minivan comes flying past me, doing 90, 95 mile an hour probably, and it had blues and reds flashing kind of inside at the top of the windshield and the top of the rear glass. But from the outside, you would never know it was a police vehicle. No government plate, no markings, no extra antennas or radars. Just looked like a regular white minivan. So that was interesting. I say, I'm pretty sure in Ohio, where I'm from, it is illegal to be pulled over by an undercover police, by an undercover unit, unless they are accompanied by a marked unit. But I guess that that does not apply in Illinois. We're getting off the highway here to get some fuel. I had one punched in, but we're cutting it close. Say, I did not realize we would be so close to world's largest truck stop. I remember way back in the day, I watched a documentary about it. I'm probably not going to go in because they have nothing I need inside, but I am going to at least grab some fuel from here, and then we'll be back on the road. Alright, let's get out of here. I did actually end up going inside because I needed a magnet for my magnet collection on my fridge. So I did end up going inside and exploring a little bit. Way busier place than I wanted to be, so I pretty much got my magnet, got out. Did call the girlfriend for some valuable input as far as which magnet to get, though. Okay, so we're back on the highway. Took forever to get out of there. Got a little over 2 hours to go until we reach our destination. Should be there by 3:30, 4 o'clock. So yeah, once we get there, probably gonna take a shower, and then figure out some dinner plans. So I'm gonna keep riding, and like I said, it's been nothing eventful to see so far. So I will hop back on here when I either shoot. Well, we've got just under 1 hour left on the road today. I wish I could say that I've seen something interesting in Iowa so far, but the most interesting thing I've seen is the I-80 truck stop. It really does just remind me of Ohio, but the fields are 10 times bigger. Other than that, it really doesn't feel like I've left home yet. Like, it kind of feels like maybe I've been driving in circles in Ohio for the last 9 hours or 8 hours. But yeah, it's been a good ride though. My tailbone was hurting for a while, but at this point I don't feel anything, so I think it's went numb. But I know from experience, as soon as I get off this bike, I'm gonna feel the sore tailbone. I just know it. So it's been a good day though. I'm really looking forward to getting to some more interesting landscapes though, and I know it'll all be worth it once we get out towards Colorado. Tomorrow I'm hoping is a bit more interesting, but I'm not getting my hopes up too high. Like I said, tomorrow we're gonna ride the rest of the way through Iowa, and then all the way to the western side of Nebraska. So hopefully the scenery is a little better. Since we're going to get to the hotel pretty early today at around like 3:30 or so, I'm going to go out and explore the downtown area a bit and grab some food, obviously, but I'm going to try and plan my route out as best I can for tomorrow to be interesting. Like I say, tomorrow's a shorter ride. If you just go directly how Google Maps says, it's only about 6.5 hours if you do that. So maybe I'll take the time to plan it out, make it a little more interesting, and add an hour or two to the ride. That way it's not just another day of all highway. I've put a lot of thought into my drive and into the drive that'll take me through Colorado and Utah and Arizona, just because there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to see out that way, and obviously I'm on a schedule of sorts, so I put a lot of thought and time into planning those to make sure I could see the most stuff possible and the best scenery possible. But as far as this what was going to be the first day, but now first 2 days, my main goal is to really just get out west. You know, I live in Ohio. I've been to Indiana plenty of times. I've got a couple friends that live and or lived there. Illinois, like I said, growing up, I had some family that lived there, so I've been there plenty of times, and I've been to Chicago probably 5 or 6 times in my life, so I've got a pretty good scope of what Illinois is north to south. In Iowa, I kind of figured Iowa was just going to be flat in farmland, and I'm sure that if you plan a route meticulously, there's probably much better riding roads than I-80. But like I said, my main goal was to just make it out west, and so that's what we're doing. Maybe one day I'll come back to Iowa better planned out if I find something that seems interesting, but today's goal was to go west, and we're making it west. So we're about 15 minutes out from our destination for today. Just now coming into the city of Des Moines. And beautiful skyline popped into my line of sight. Specifically, that building over there. I'm not sure what it is. Might be a courthouse. I'd have to look it up or ride over there. But it's absolutely beautiful, the gold dome on top. It reminds me of a building I saw last year in Charleston, West Virginia. But it no longer feels like I'm in the middle of nowhere, which is nice. There's actually stuff to look at and changing scenery. And I am very excited to get off this bike and put my butt in a comfortable chair or bed and relax for a little bit. So it really hasn't been too bad of a ride, all things considered. Weather started off a little cold this morning. Oh, wow. Wow. Let me pay attention to what I'm doing so I don't rear end anyone and make this a very bad trip. But I knew Des Moines was a pretty large city, but so far I've got to say I'm rather impressed with the skyline. Ooh. First time my legs have been on the ground in 2.5 hours. And it feels good. It feels good. Say, I forgot how strenuous it is to hold your neck up for this long of a period of time while it's getting blown back by 60, 70 mile an hour winds. About 4 or 5 hours in, it was starting to get sore. And I've just been kind of dealing with it, but I haven't really been able to turn my neck to the side with the wind, like in the wind. That's how sore it's been. So now that we're going lower speeds, it's nice because I'm able to actually look around a little bit. Oh wow, look at that church. One of the things I really enjoy about traveling is I just love architecture. I know absolutely nothing about it. I just know what I think looks good and what doesn't. And I spend so much time just staring at buildings, you know? And I just love going to a new place and seeing different architecture and things that you don't really see, things I don't really see at home. And at home, most of our old historical buildings have been torn down and replaced. So when you go through places and you see these older buildings that have this intricate and ornate design and architecture to them, I just love it. And there's a lot of bridges here, and I like a good bridge. There's a train parked over there. I feel like I went from having nothing to look at the whole way here to everything to look at. When we get to the hotel, I gotta check my chain, make sure it's still got some lube on it, since it got doused with fuel earlier in the day from that vent tube. It should be all right. It's a new chain. There's only a couple thousand miles on it, but just want to double check and be safe. And then I need to look up, once we're in for the day, where like a cycle gear or motorcycle apparel shop is, because I'm gonna need, looking at the weather for Pikes Peak Sunday, I'm gonna need some waterproof cold weather gloves. I've brought 3 pairs with me, but none of them are I don't really have a use for cold weather gloves when I'm at home, because if it's cold I just don't ride. But unfortunately for me, Sunday when we are in Colorado, it looks like it's going to be pretty cold and thunderstorms all day. So and then once we go up Pikes Peak, it looks like at about 11,000 feet it's only going to be 30 or 40 degrees. So I'd like to buy a pair of waterproof cold climate gloves. That way I can enjoy it a bit more and not just be fixated on my freezing cold wet hands. Alright, so I got everything taken into my room, bike unloaded, everything except the fuel. Just gonna leave that on the bike all the time. Now we're gonna head to go get some food, and we're gonna head to Lachelle's Fine Foods. It's got really good reviews, it's relatively cheap, and they've got a chopped cheese on their menu that sounds really good. So we're gonna head there. It says parking's difficult, so if parking ends up being difficult, I guess we will just find somewhere else to go. But I'm hoping we can squeeze in on the bike somewhere and park. But let's hit the road. And it also looks like we are once again going to have to stop at the gas station. But I think we're going to do that on our way back to the hotel from eating. So we got 55 to empty. It's only 4 miles away, so we'll do that on the way back.